What's up, brothers? Hope everyone's doing well out there. The title of this video is The One Thing That Makes a Woman Become Obsessed with You. And I'll be honest with you guys, I've been running around all over the place these last few days. Haven't really slept at all. But that actually sets the mood perfectly for the information that I'm about to share with you. And we'll get to that here in a little bit. But the one thing that gets a woman obsessed with you has nothing to do with looks, money, and status, although those things will have women hunting you down, to use you and manipulate you. It'll make you a mark. But it has nothing to do with those. It has nothing to do with attention, validation, or separation anxiety, the usuals. It has everything to do with affection, okay? And this is something that the bad boys of the world, the players of the world, the ladies' men out there are fully aware of. They know how to show a woman affection. And I promise you, she can be an astronaut, highly educated, PhD. You can be from the projects in Queens, New York, and she'll still come to you for this affection. She'll probably end up marrying a rich dude, but she's still going to yearn for affection from a guy like you. Just the way it is. Now, there's 2 steps involved here, okay? And you can't get to the second step until you accomplish the first step. And the second step is to show affection. And we'll get into that here in a little bit. But first we got to conquer the first step, which is she has to become open to receiving affection from you. You ever went in to give a woman a kiss and she turned her head on you? That humiliating, embarrassing moment. You went in and you made your move and she rejected you. You thought everything was going well, and, you tried to advance things to the bedroom, and she said no. Well, the only thing that you missed was you skipped over the step of making her become open to receiving affection from you. And there's not just one single way of going about this, but I'm going to tell you the accidental way that I do this. I can't even tell you why it works out this way, but it does, okay? And as I was saying, I hadn't slept much, right? And that's pretty common for me. I'm not really the greatest sleeper in the world. I don't require much sleep, to be honest with you, but I'll go nights where I'll sleep 3 hours, 2 hours. Sometimes I'll get lucky and sleep 6 hours. But when I go out, if it's, a first date, second date, we're still getting to know each other. If I go out and the night before I only slept like 1 or 2 hours, and I'm squinty-eyed, and I'm sitting back and I'm just looking at her, I'm just kind of half asleep, staring at her, and she's talking. And she's just carrying on, talking about herself, talking about all sorts of things, talking about her job, talking about her day. And I'm just nodding my head. Uh-huh. Yep. Okay. Cool. Interesting. Nice. Hell yeah. That's awesome. Cool. I'm just listening. That's it. I'm just sitting back, looking at her, being attentive, being present, and listening to her. And I let her know I didn't sleep much. I'm moving around kind of slow. Occasionally she'll ask me a question, and I'll respond with a very slow and simple answer. Nothing too try hard or anything like that. I just slowly present the answer to her question. And that's how our conversation goes. right? It's mostly me listening to her doing the heavy work, and, you know, me just being honest, chill, and laid back with her. Now, I'm not sure why that works so well and why that gets a woman so open to receiving affection. You know, she feels heard. She feels, I should say, I also will do my best to make her feel desired. I'll compliment her. You know, I'll flirt with her a little bit. She knows I'm sexually attracted to her, and I am not bored of the things that she's saying. I'm actually listening. And, you know, it just works. It's something you don't have to be tired to accomplish, obviously, but when I'm not tired and I'm high energy and I'm kind of center of attention and talking a lot and even more like cocky, funny, you know, that sort of deal, that's not quite as effective. That might work in a nightclub when I'm just trying to get laid, but, you know, we're talking about getting a woman deeply attached and becoming obsessed with you here. So, for some reason, that causes a woman to be very open to receiving affection. You know, just listening to her. Being, you know, don't say too much. Just listen, respond, almost like strong silent. Like there's something confident about a man that doesn't really have to say much, and he listens, and he's not judging her. You know, he's processing the information she's giving him, and that's it. It's as simple as that. Now she's open to receiving affection. Okay? And in terms of actually giving her affection, you know, I talked about this in a video about a week ago where we talked about giving a woman a big bear hug. And that's one way that you can do it. You know, if you're out on a date and you stop what you're doing and you give her a big bear hug, you know, lift her feet up off the ground, you know, hold her kind of tight, about 10 seconds, you know, big hug. That's affection. You know, if she's been explaining her job and what stresses her out and, you know, things about her life, and you give her a big bear hug, I mean, that's a combination for her to just be heavily aroused, very excited, right? It doesn't have to be a bear hug, right? Run your fingers through her hair, you know, grab the back of her neck, you know, the pressure points. You can even have little names for, like, you know, whatever little sexual pet names you have for each other. Little flirtatious talk, you know, throwing these little things at her. Being affectionate. It's not attention. Attention is like a dude checking her out or a dude liking her pictures. Affection is two people present, flirting, and sort of sharing in a, like, almost emotional exchange. You know what I mean? Like you're being affectionate. So when you do these two things, number one, you break the situation down and you get her open to receiving affection from you. And number two, you become affectionate. She's going to become addicted to that. She's going to become obsessed with that. And, you know, a lot of times guys will get reputations of being players, being these bad boys, and they don't even want that reputation. They sort of accidentally get that reputation. And why? Because they're just, you know, they're open to listening to a woman, hearing her out, hearing what she has to say, and she feels heard. And, you know, she starts to almost play her games and work her magic to try to get him to become affectionate. You know, maybe she'll take the first steps of being affectionate. You know, she'll try to get the ball rolling herself, and he'll kind of go along with it, right? And then he'll become affectionate with her, and they're going back and forth, and they end up hooking up a couple of times, and he snaps out of it. You know, he realizes, like, whoa, I didn't really want to do this. I just, just wanted to, I don't know, blow some time here. I don't know, one thing led to another, and we ended up in this situation. But she's already deeply invested. She's already head over heels. So her head is going to be wrecked whenever he leaves. And that's usually how it goes down. You know, a lot of guys have female nature ass backwards. They don't understand it. And I can always tell when I listen to somebody. This is why I don't watch a whole lot of dating advice out there. I don't watch a whole lot of other content creators in the same genre as me, because it's like they haven't experienced that. You know, they tell you that, like, you need to ignore women and like stay away from them to get them to desire you more, or like, you know, they tell you like the opposite, like don't be affectionate, or like don't listen, don't text her, all these things. And it's like, no, you know, if you do the exact opposite of what they're telling you, women will probably become obsessed with you, and it's almost like detrimental to your free time, because they start to move too fast. Women fall fast. You know, they become deeply attached and they want to go all the way, and they're really pissed off. You know, if you've been talking to them for a month or so and you're like, wait, I didn't really want it to be this serious, right? So that's the truth about women and about female nature. They are, you know, these guys that say they're not empathetic, maybe that's true. They're not super empathetic to a man. They're more about their own desires. But when it comes to being loyal, when it comes to emotional attachment, assuming that you've completed those two steps, they're by far the more committed. When a woman's committed to a man, when she selected you as that guy, you're that dude, and she's open to receiving affection from you and you're constantly giving it to her, she's good. But what typically happens, you know, and a lot of guys get caught up in this situation, and they know that it's true. A lot of them are in denial, but they know that it's true. They'll go through a divorce or something, and they can't quite remember all the steps. They backtrack. Like, man, I did everything right, and she still left me. But they're forgetting that when they first met her, and they did those two steps most likely. You know, they talked to her, they listened, they got to know her. She was open to receiving affection. He became very affectionate. And she was very turned on, very aroused. And then suddenly, you know, once they got together, he stopped being affectionate, right? And she got frustrated. Her attitude went to shit. She became insufferable, right? And he's like, man, she's become such a bitch now. But she's a bitch because she's not getting the required amount of affection that she needs. It's like water to a plant. Right? She needs to feel sexy and wanted. You know, she needs you to, like, when you first got together, she could climb up on top of you on a park bench, right there in public, tits in your face. With a shirt on, of course. You know, you're in public, but like all over you, going crazy, going wild. You know, all of that. And as long as you maintain that, the relationship should go well. But it's hard to maintain that for 10 years, 15 years. You get bored. You don't want to be affectionate anymore. You just assume, okay, it's your responsibility. We've been married. You know, affection doesn't always have to be there. It's till death do us part, so it's required of us that we stay married. But that's not the way the new world works. And the last thing I want to share with you guys, I wanted to wait till the end because this is kind of, I don't want it to be taken the wrong way, but it ties into what we're talking about. Do you have any idea how women masturbate? Serious question. Every woman masturbates pretty much the same exact way every time she does it, right? Most of them don't use toys. They just get the job done by themselves, right? They have the exact spot, exact technique. exact everything. They have a very, they have it dialed in, right, to get themselves off. Well, a woman's mood, and this is what's strange, because she does the same thing every time, right? Sometimes she gets off in a matter of seconds. Sometimes she'll be going at it for a freaking hour and she can't get anything done, right? So what is it? If she's doing the exact same thing, what's causing it to be that way? And it is that a woman's arousal is tied to the way she feels at that given moment. So if she goes on a date with you and you listen to her, you hear her out, you're affectionate, and she's kind of becoming obsessed with you, and she goes home alone, she'll masturbate and she'll get off like that, thinking about you, because she's all in her feelings. She's in the zone. Whereas if she had a stressful day from work and she's angry and she's depressed or whatever, now she can't get off, even though she's doing the same thing. Now, for men, it's almost backwards. If we're pissed off and frustrated from work, it's like we'll go out, get a quickie in, whatever. But women's arousal their arousal is connected to their emotions, their feelings. And their feelings are connected to the man in their life and if he's properly given her that affection. So that's kind of the power that you have over a woman. That's what the players, the bad boys, understand. They use that power, sometimes for good, sometimes for bad. But they understand that they have that power. And I've seen dudes, and I'm telling you, all the weird stereotypes that guys throw out there about these guys that are inkwells, involuntarily single. I have seen guys that were 5'7", gingers, skinny, freckly guys. And back then, when I was 18, they were just knew one guy, he was a couple years older than me. But he was just small. He looked a lot like Freddy Krueger, to be honest with you. A ginger. Like, he would dress up as Freddy Krueger for Halloween, and he didn't really have to do much. He could just put the hat on and the striped shirt. Looked just like him. Now, he didn't have scars on his face, but still looked a lot like the actor that plays Freddy Krueger. This guy would run circles around me. He's a couple years older than me, and when you're 18, a couple years is a lot of smarts, a lot of experience. He was just so damn good. And I would be so shocked. We'd be out at a bar or something, and there'd be a really hot girl in there. He'd just, we'd be playing pool or whatever. 10 minutes later, he'd be making out with her. I'm like, how in the hell did he get so good at that? Couldn't figure it out, But eventually I did figure it out. And, obviously the better looking you are, the more money you have and status and things like that. That's good. Like, you do want to accomplish those things, obviously. That's intrasexual dynamics. That's competing with the other men. You want to be the big fish in the big pond. Big fish in the small pond. Big fish wherever you're at. But realistically, that makes you a mark. It makes the gold diggers and the clout chasers all want to come onto you and use you and manipulate you, but doesn't necessarily make a woman deeply attached to you or obsessed with you. And if anything, if you have that stuff, it becomes more difficult to get her to be open to receiving affection from you because you're intimidating. You look like a player. They're like, okay, what's up with this guy? Well, there's got to be something going on. This is too good to be true. So an average guy can sort of have some advantages. Yeah, there's obviously disadvantages to being an average guy. I'm not going to drop blue pills on you here. But no matter who you are, you have to work your angle and find out what are the advantages of being me. Forget the advantages of being better than me. What are the advantages of being me? That's it. What are those advantages? There has to be some. And typically the lower on the totem pole you are, the less intimidating you are. That's one thing. You know, now you're just kind of a good listener. She doesn't fear being judged by you. You know, you just sit there and listen to her and okay, cool, cool, cool. You know, don't try to be a try-hard Chad if that's not who you are. If you are good looking, sure, you can use your looks all you want, but you know, I think there's more effective ways. But by all means, you do whatever you want to do. Well, I think that pretty much covers everything that I had to say in this video. And it is Halloween. It's October 31st. And I've got to go out. I haven't drank in about 1.5 years, but I am going to go out tonight. And that means by the time we record the next video, old Pumpkinhead back there is going to be gone. It's added a lot of charm to the videos, and I'm going to salute Pumpkinhead. If you watched this long, type salute Pumpkinhead in the chat to let me know. Alright guys, as always, I hope this video was somewhat informative, and that's about it for tonight. Until next time, see ya.